All right, new intro had to play. Did we see the whole thing, or did it jump in like halfway through?
No, it showed the whole thing. That was pretty
Okay,
cool.
mine was being a little funky on my end. So, hey everybody, how's it going? Nice to see you all. Here to cover the new Hulu series, Alien Earth. What are we doing today? We're doing Alien Earth. It's Noah Hawley's bit. He's back. So excited. And of course, I couldn't be doing it without my man by himself, Rob from Smirking Gun Reviews.
Yes, it's awesome to climb out from under the rock I was under, but this is the kind of show. Noah Hawley is the kind of creator that will bring me out of seclusion, self-imposed seclusion for mental health. Hey, I always tell everybody, if you need to take mental health breaks, you take them. Doesn't matter how big your channel is, and that's what I did. But and I'm so glad I did.
And we've got Crom joining
Crom.
us in the chat, man. Welcome, welcome. Yeah, I know. I've been so excited about this. I mean, obviously, little bit of an alien fan here. Have been most of my life. Have been on the ups and downs with all the movies, but you got to keep coming back to this universe. That's when done right, this is so terrifying and interesting, and it's visually so astounding. And when you get someone with Noah Hawley's pedigree, who blew me away with Legion, and then jumps over to pick up Fargo as a series, and keeps just throwing out excellent, unexpected, full story series, each season that comes through on that. Yeah, I was just so incredibly excited to hear him tackling a property like this, to see what is he going to bring, how is it going to feel, are we going to get that Alien series, that feel that we were all hoping for. And I don't know, spoiler alert, yes. But yeah, a lot to get into. Also want to say hi to Rena and Bill joining us in the chat live. Please throw out questions if you have any. We're going to make this kind of a little more of a fun, interactive type kind of review discussion tonight, because there's a lot of jumping points that this kind of brings us, both with how the show is done, the approach, the storytelling that he is tackled. So, well, let's jump in right away. Rob, what did you think of this kind of overall, and maybe give us a big highlight of anything that really stood out and grabbed you for these first two episodes?
Well, I mean, everything. The first thing that I thought of, like, and how my brain works, is I was remembering when Jim James was on David Letterman playing State of the Art. Mm-hmm. And David Letterman comes walking up and he goes, "I liked everything about that." That was the first thing I thought of when the show was over for the first time, was I liked everything about that. And more than liked, I loved it. And when it ended, the second episode ended, I was so hyped. I was so happy with everything, and any of my concerns that I might have had. Mm-hmm. Any little glitch that my brain wanted to throw at me when I was watching it, which was only one. The production, the music, the acting, it's Noah Hawley, and I don't know, again, he's like Vince Gilligan. You just have to trust some of these people that just keep cranking out quality shows. When he's asked, "Hey, do you want to do something from the X-Men universe?" and instead of going regular, he picks Legion, and only unless you're a hardcore, if you don't read comics, you don't know who Legion is. And then he makes this brilliant character study of this kind of unknown to the most audience's character, making it so psychological and different from anything you've ever seen. And then he tackles the Coen brothers, and manages to make 5 unique seasons now of that show, taking that one concept and expanding on it. And that's one of the things, like if you want to talk about Noah Hawley and what he's doing now to this show, is he finds things that are ripe for expansion. He takes these one little ideas and is able to expand on things when a lot of shows just don't, like a lot of IPs really don't need this kind of expansion. And you get so much great character work. I was thinking immediately, like, what if this was a movie? We would lose all this character.
Oh yeah.
From you'd see we're being introduced to all these really interesting characters, and we would lose all of it. Mostly, they would just be by the numbers, face value. This is this person, and this is what they are, and blah blah blah. With an 8 to 10 hour movie, Hawley is able to take an IP like Alien and do something so wonderful with it, to make this universe feel even more full. And this takes place before the first Alien,
Right, by about 2 years, I think.
and it makes you go, okay, like it's called Alien Earth. They have to put the alien in there because it's in that universe. It could be called a lot of different things. And the xenomorph, like, yeah, we've got a xenomorph in here, but it's not about him. This is, to me, is about, well, it's about a lot of things, but if you want to like break it down for the universe, it's like how the reasons that the company goes to that planet in the first movie.
Right.
In the end, if you want like just baseline, there's so much else going on. There's so many themes going on. I didn't want to talk about a show that was just, okay, so the alien comes and picks a bunch of people off, and maybe they take over the world, even though that wouldn't make any sense because of the time period, unless they were rebooting the whole thing and saying, screw it.
Well, no, I think that kind of hits on it right there. I think they've been very smart with how they approach it, because you're right. Noah Hawley doesn't do just spectacle. There is spectacle in his things, and there's imaginative storytelling, and there are interesting visuals, but he adds such psychological stories and level. I mean, Legion was a brilliant insight into what is crazy, what is not, what is mental illness, what is right and wrong. I mean, when you have all of these, varying points of view and varying abilities and interactivities like that, I mean, it becomes a much more, bigger question. And I think Fargo, which is always that kind of morality tale of what will people do for money, what are those sacrifices they will go. I mean, you get to see all these varying stories of good guys and bad guys, and well, honestly, most of them are all just kind of really in the middle. They're just people in circumstance, either taking advantage of what they have or trying to survive a situation that they're in. And for something like Alien, I mean, I think one of the problems that you have with Alien is, like you said, if this was a movie, you would have 2 hours and you have the big spectacle stuff and none of the character things, or maybe just the briefest little smearage of character. And that's not what television is for. And yet, to use the alien properly, like all monsters, which they do throughout all of this so far, is you use them sparingly. You show as little as possible. You keep things guessing, and they have done this. You have created the alien creature. I know everybody calls them xenomorph, and that annoys me because the joke in Aliens is that's what xenomorph means, alien life form. Sorry, that's just one of my little things, which is why I will tend to call it an alien as opposed to xenomorph. But this is a great creature, but it's not. They never use it any complicated. It's just always what's the new form or what's the location that they are in. When you have Hawley attacking this subject, the xenomorph, the aliens, the creatures, the monsters are all background. They are the set piece upon which the characters go through their story. And because TV tends to be very character oriented, I think this gives us that perfect balance as we can get the creep without feeling like we're being overloaded. We're getting just enough to be scared without feeling like, oh, we've just seen everything and there's nothing more to see. We've seen the whole monster, in the bright light, and we've guessed their background and we know what they can do. In this, man, he's still having fun hiding that alien in the background behind things and on top of sculptures. And I mean, again, it's still creepy when this thing moves. You're like, yeah. And that's, I mean, it's just brilliant to maintain that. And I think they can do it because he wants to tell kind of a fairy tale in all of this. If we want to take the whole Neverland comparison right, I mean, it really is. You have Peter Pan, the boy genius, who is taking these children and bringing them permanently to Neverland, away from their childhood, ultimately, to be now children in adult bodies. I mean, there's the opening bit, I think, kind of says it all, is what this is about. This is the race for immortality. Synths, cyborgs, hybrids. That's the base. That's what this story is about. It's that exploration of immortality.
And in the intro to every episode, right, it's also playing Cream's Strange Brew saying, kill what's inside of you.
Yeah.
Your immortality, but also sacrificing your humanity.
Which is the constant discussion we have back at Prodigy Base with the doctor, what's her name, and our boy genius.
Boy Cavalier, and Dame Sylvia, and her husband, yes. Arthur.
And in many ways, you're also getting kind of that, you know, with humanity, you have that idea of emotion. And again, this is something that we kind of hit early on, is Kirsch is talking about fear a lot, even when we see the scorpion. How do we respond to fear? Do we kill it? Well, is that really fair? Maybe it's scared of us. And then we see, as we get into the synth's body, is they experience emotion, but it's a fake form. Kirsch even says you don't have the hormones and the things that are going on. And then later, when we're on the ship, we find the alien senses fear, which is a brilliant, brilliant hunting tactic for a horror creature. The more afraid you are, the easier it can hunt you. And also why it does creepy, scary things is because that's how it identifies prey in the area. And I think that gives us a lot of real interesting idea. What is fear? Can you overcome it? Is it a feeling inside? Is it, you know, is it a chemical response? How can you hunt against this? I'm sorry, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. There's so many.
No. It's like, it's hard. Okay. I watched it last night. I watched it again at work, and then I watched it again when I came home. I've seen it 3 times effectively already. Right. So I get it.
But and so I think, yeah, that's going to be one of the interesting things I think they're really going to be experiencing, because one of the, I mean, we'll throw in a couple of criticisms that I do have in with this. And one of the weirdest ones, and I'm not saying, let me put that aside. I loved this. I really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to the best. I may have a couple of small criticisms here and there, but I also realize those are really reflective of personal taste. So when I bring that up, again, that's kind of an on me thing. And the idea of the Lost Boys, of these groups of brand new synths, basically children in adult bodies. Part of me is like, why the hell would you have this be the fodder that goes against the alien? This is such a weird combination. And yet they have the super bodies, they're resilient, and they're brilliant. And how do you balance that out from a dramatic standpoint? You give it the mind of a child. And how do they deal, especially when you get the ideas of fear? You can see it. Some of them do act afraid, but others are just kind of fascinated by stuff. They don't, you know, again, what did Wendy pull it? They're quieter now. The emotions are so much quieter now. It's hard to hear them. And I think that'll give an interesting dynamic between how we interact with the rest of these monsters. And is that going to be the ultimate thing of, overcoming one's fear. And that is part of that real transition from childhood to adulthood.
Yeah, and I mean, she, Wendy has had, or Marcy has had more time to acclimate herself and what the journey she wants to go on. She's more ready for it, though. They're not.
Oh, yeah. No, by far. By far.
So it's like, it's going to be interesting to see. It's already interesting to see where it's going. Yeah. And there's a very interesting thing about control too, with what you're saying about having them be in kids in adult bodies, with Boy Cavalier being this like Peter Pan figure, right?
Totally.
Pan was the one who wanted to run Neverland and hated adults, and the book is very dark at times. Peter doesn't like I was listening to the podcast and they were talking about a part of the book where Peter's in a tree breathing, and he's like, every time he takes a breath, he thinks that an adult dies. Right? That's some dark stuff.
Well, and even the little bit that he says over the wires, where he's talking about organizing children's thoughts overnight, it's like, that's kind of creepy.
Yeah. And he's the Pan, and Wendy's like Wendy, the mother of the Lost Boys.
Right.
That is in the Disney and in the book, and Pan overlooking it all, always watching. She's watching her brother, he's watching her, and that kind of control that he wants to have this all, like he wants to find that person smarter than him, whether or not it'll be one of them. And one of the first things I was thinking of as this, like the Pan stuff, was that Wendy's the one who stands up to him. Wendy's the one that in the end, he wants her to be the mother, and she rejects it in the end, right? She wants to leave and go back. And what that does, like there's going to be a lot of really cool stuff coming down the road that we haven't even seen. I started to watch this season and I went, I got it like 15 seconds in and turned it off. I was like, I don't want to know.
Yeah, no, I've worked very hard to avoid most of the previews and early discussions of everything. I was trying to get this as raw as I could, because I didn't want my viewpoint to be colored. Yeah. And I already had expectations because of Hawley's previous work and how much I've really enjoyed them. So that's why in a lot of ways, is even when I'm kind of like, well, this is weird, I do have a lot of trust with the creative team. And I think that's an important thing about having a strong creative team behind a project, is the amount of trust that an audience will give to them because of that pedigree and what they've been able to do. Like I said, you're putting kids into synths, and that's what you're sending against the aliens. That's weird. Oh, and my first one, I had more questions. And then, like yourself, this morning, I threw it on again. And rewatched the thing and, grabbed a little bit more that I had missed and was paying more attention to the small little world building things that they have going on. And again, Hawley does like fairy tales. They're dark and they're twisted, but there is kind of something almost otherworldly with him. So again, it's once you kind of get to the idea that this is it's a fairy tale horror story, you kind of go on with what all of the individual journeys are and how much is growing up and who's going to have to sacrifice and what are these changes in perceptive going to be, can you, again, if you can overcome your fear, can you become invisible to the alien, or does it become kind of like that a scorpion? Yes, it's deadly, but if we leave each other alone, if there's a respect level, if we're not enemies, maybe if I'm not its enemy, maybe it won't be my enemy. Again, there are so many things where they could carry this and still make it work. And one of the things that I think does make this work so well is, like you said, their production value. They match the look and feel of the first Alien movie so well without it feeling antiquated, without it feeling like, oh, that's old, imagined futuristic technology. even with the ridiculous little flashing lights and stuff they have in the background, which probably means nothing, everything still feels like, why does this suddenly feel futuristic still? Why am I back in the future and not feeling like I'm watching this archaic thing? Whatever little twists that they have done on top of the production to give us the whole feel and look of the old series, but still making it feel fresh and new again, I think has been astounding. To the point that the rifles look like early versions of the M41A you see in Aliens.
It's a timeless look, and for us that have been watching this series for going on, 40 some years.
Oh yeah.
I think it's more timeless to us because we don't need all that. We are already bought into that world. We know this isn't our world. It's got that timeless look, and yet we keep seeing new things. So this new being on Earth, it's something we haven't seen in this.
Yeah, and really in any of the Alien films.
Our world has become in this with again, we talked about like this is kind of post climate change, and so it's like a nature has kind of blended in with the technological, and it's still class war. It's still the rich, the poor, people having to do things for that we do, but just in a different style. So it's like it's relatable. It's a timeless look. It's familiar and new, and has the music that still carries through, that makes you remember the way that you felt watching at least the first Alien, and you get also introduced to like the new the companies.
Yes,
and that there is no government. It's corporations governing.
And I thought that was a nice way to do that little exposition as a little lesson in the background, and then an argument between people, as opposed to someone just like splurting out that information for no reason. It felt like that's a natural way that information would come up.
Yes. And yet we're still starting from a familiar place as well. We're on a ship. We're following space truckers again. We're following a bunch of people doing a job for, God, there's so many companies now. I keep forgetting
They're Weyland-Yutani.
Weyland-Yutani. Getting specimens, bringing them back. Weird people, you can tell that they've got a dynamic going, and it feels a little like Alien. You got the regular group, you got security, you got a hierarchy, or what's the like military kind of feel, and then you still got like the janitors that they're in the room, but they're still looked down on, and their opinions are the ones that are like the more anti what we're doing than anything, and they're the ones more dismissed, while you've got Creeper, like, and what I love is that they give us just a little bit and then they take us away from it, and we don't see like what was the catalyst. We don't know what the catalyst was that sets off what happens in a normal Alien movie, where everybody just starts getting picked off, until you've got one of the best performances so far in this show, because it's I want to say his name right. I have it written down. Dang it. Babu Sise as Morrow, who is the guy that's in there like playing, kind of being like the Ash type of character, the
cyborg on top of the ship. Yeah.
Oh boy, what a performance this guy is putting out there as the company man. We see him being the company man before the everything goes down, and the coldness of what he is like, and we still don't know. And I love that we don't know. And part of me doesn't ever need it. I have a feeling that we're going to see some kind of flashback, at some point.
They
But if we don't,
enough little breadcrumbs to say, hey, is it Mr. Tang? Does he get upset from he's being fucked with? Is it the janitor guy who gets, or I think he's an engineer who's upset about the usage and thinks that this is too dangerous? Is it something else that goes on in the lab?
is
You're
it
right.
the lady who's like really like almost hypnotized by the specimens
Yes.
that she has, you know, and those flashes that we get again, if they give it to us, fine. If they don't, I'm good. I don't need it. It's already telling us so much. Everybody died. We're not following that same formula of alien movie.
Well,
this is not about them.
Yeah, they're the previous instigation. We're following it later on. No, you're totally right, and that's, I mean, I think that that's something that's also very smart with this show. Is I've heard a few things on its connection to alien canon and such for all of that. And what I had heard was that it's not beholden to any previous alien canon, kind of doing its own things, which feels sort of right. It's kind of like what happened to Terminator, is at a point everybody goes, look, it's just the first two movies that count, and everything else can be optional or tossed out or used or not used. I mean, I liked Prometheus. The one thing I didn't like about it was its inclusion in Alien, but I realized that was kind of a studio decision because you got to keep the franchise going. And I think in some ways it's kind of messed itself up. And I was hoping coming into this that this might doing an interesting job of resetting a lot of that. But it does an even smarter job, is it completely ignores and doesn't need to be connected. Like you said with the opening, do we learn any more of this connection or not? Doesn't matter. We don't need it. And they established with the way the world is, this is supposed to be, 2 years before the first Alien movie, if I'm hearing it right. So the technology looks enough of the same, but we've never seen Earth or any of that stuff. So they got full reason to go on with that. It's just a crash ship. You're going to want to clean it all up so no one would know anything, or just a little bit. So any previous or past knowledge doesn't need to apply. You can just get that, again, the visuals of the first movie, the music of the second movie, boom, you're done, and we are in it. And I think that is in some ways a previous choice because it doesn't tie them into having go, ooh, Easter egg thing stuff. We could just take all of that and go, okay, how much of a self-contained story can we tell with this reflective universe? And I think they've done a great job, especially by introducing the hybrids, which is something we haven't yet seen before in this world.
Yeah, and I love how we after that first scene where and then we go to the Scorpion and we're introduced to Kirsch and Marcy, who's going to be the first hybrid. And I wanted to expand on it a little bit of that, like what the Scorpion, is like. She wants, he and first off, Timothy Olyphant. I mean,
yeah, oh yeah.
You know what I was thinking when I'm looking at him is he reminds me of Roy Batty from Blade Runner.
Oh yeah, oh totally, with the way the hair is and everything, and he's got that like almost creepy tan.
Yeah, like it feels like he's almost modeled after him, and is in some weird universe he is like a different version of that guy in some ways, of like, because we only in Blade Runner you only see him as the guy, like he talks about all the things he's seen and but sure. Like he has that same kind of perspective too, of like the way he views things and the way he talks about things. But when she's like, I wanted you to squish it, or I want to squish it so that it doesn't sting you, and he's like, well, what if another scorpion stings me because I'm hurting it? And how she comes around in the end to say, no, I don't want you to hurt it, I think is like good foreshadowing.
Oh yeah. Oh
good,
yeah.
Like revealing of like, it's about the monster, about the creatures and themselves that are in all these movies, right? Is the big monster of the Alien franchise is just is. It's got no like ulterior motives. It's like what Sigourney Weaver says in Aliens, right? They're not fucking each other for a percentage.
Yeah.
Right? They just are. We paint them as villains because they're killing people, but they're just animals. They're just an animal we've never seen before. A highly aggressive, very protective of its own, wants to breed and continue on its thing. There's nothing like that. And the scorpion is the same way. It will sting you if you mess with it. And we put it in glass, and now, you know, we're the masters of this thing, and it has to, like, how does it feel if it could think, you know, like we're always squashing bugs, you know. I don't like bugs.
No,
but
yeah,
like,
no.
but like there's this great way of looking at how we as people are, and how we just destroy things, making them more than what they are because they're inconvenient to us, or they might bite us, or this and that, there's no place for these things. We have to destroy them. And I just loved that opening bit of like him kind of like studying her too. And then when we get to like the actual process of the switching over into, and me and Bill were joking last night about the C-Lab episode of the "Would you put your brain in a robot body?" Right. And it is like this really, I've said it a bunch of times where I'm like, sign me up. I will do it right now. Could I put myself in a synth right now? Yep. I wouldn't even think twice about it. And they say that adults can't do it because their brains are too stiff. I think I've got a pretty youthful brain.
I don't want to get in an argument about flexibility of brains.
But I know, but I'm just saying. I think if there's an adult around right now that could do it, it's probably mine. I know that's very narcissistic, probably of me, but anyway, it's fictional, so I can say whatever about it. I also don't care that I don't know how this stuff works.
Yeah, don't need to know.
It was like we were talking that it's kind of like she's on a big Xerox machine. Like it's just z. It's like
the flashing lights that did brain scanning things. Yeah, I know exactly.
And getting to see the Lost Boys over her head, all this stuff, and boy does the actor playing Boy Cavalier, Samuel Blanken. Wow. Okay, first off, everybody, we haven't talked about the cast fully, but everybody in this is amazing. Essie Davis as Dame Silva, who was the mom in the Babadook. I mean, everybody in this.
Hey, and we didn't talk about, is this going to be the Andor of Alien? And we get freaking Nemec in here, man. I was so excited.
As her brother, Alex Lothar is in this. I'm like, oh my! I even said that this might be the Andor of Alien, and then this guy showed up, and I'm like,
yeah, no, I mean I totally remember that conversation. I was like, that's perfect, man. You couldn't set this up better.
Yeah. What was the guy? Okay, here's a mystery.
Okay.
The guy in the hallway.
Ah, yeah. See, he's in my notes. What is that for? It's like, is he killing? Is there some infestation in Prodigy that he's trying to burn away that won't come, that keeps coming back? I mean, yeah, that's like all symbolism that's going to pop up later on.
There's a noise that I hear when he's spraying, and it made me think of the hatch in Lost. For some reason, that image of the guy in the hall trying to like do something just reminded me of Lost for some damn reason.
Well, and there's so much of the the Stranger Things of them burning away the stuff from the Upside Down is to me, that is definitely indicative of a rot inside of the company that's trying to be beaten back. That will be playing out later on. I did want to touch on, because there was some stuff with the timelines that was a little funky, because first watching it, they're like, okay, it's 2120 and it's a 65-year mission. That means they're leaving in like 45. That's like 20 years from now, and we're supposed to expect to have it. I was like, 65, should that have been a shorter mission and all that? But then I had to remember, I think technically Blade Runner and Alien share the same universe. So that would assume that since we're around by 2019, a few years ago now, So that would make sense why we would have all of this technology, because it felt like Ash in the first Alien movie, they didn't know about synthetics, that was kind of a new thing, so trying to set things all in timelines. But if we think that Blade Runner is an earlier story in the same world that Alien comes from, it makes sense. If we try to link it too much with our time frame, I think it seems like you make too many technological jumps. But that, time stuff always messes with me. I start thinking and doing backtracking, and it's one of those where it's like, ultimately, don't think about it. It doesn't matter. Don't tie it into ours. I think the 65-year mission did feel like a little unnecessarily long, because that would mean their ship is 65 years old, but that we've got. But again, it's me. I guess the Nostromo was an Aliens. No. What was the first? What was the ship in the first?
Nostromo was in Alien 1.
Was in the first Alien? Okay. The Nostromo did look like a super old tanker. So if that was like a 70-year, 60-year tanker thing, and they're using old technology, that would work. That would work for this world.
The 5 companies.
Yes.
Now, these are also like, because all we've ever heard is the one. And
yeah, all they've talked about is Weyland-Yutani.
Yeah. And it makes me go like, again, they're not beholden to all this. So I'm wondering, like, what will be the repercussions of this series? Is this a way to whittle down things, whittle down companies that control things? Do they end up controlling all by the time of this? Or will this prodigy company keep going? I've never been more interested in watching something about corporations governing the world, even though we're like well on our way to be headed towards that direction.
Actually, because it is a corporate controlled world, I'm going to do a quick aside and recommendation for any podcast fiends to check out the Revolutions podcast. It's done like 11 seasons, but its most recent one, he does historical deep dives into revolutions throughout history. He started out with the Romans and then has moved through and done a whole bit of different stuff. Very fascinating things. The most recent season is fictional and tells the story of the Martian Revolution of 2250. From the history of the foundation of Mars all the way through their revolution. And the backdrop is a corporate controlled world. It's honestly a fascinating podcast, and that season it's got me thinking of so many things, and he connects it, and it feels so real, even though it's entirely fictional. If you would like more fictional adventures inside of a corporate world, recommend the Martian Revolution over on the Revolutions podcast.
Sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. But no, I love the idea. See, because to me, the corporate controlled world is very much the cyberpunk world of the future, where countries are gone, corporations have taken over, and they're even owning like parts. They have Mars and Saturn, but it's a different company that has the moon.
Yep, it's all just been parceled out.
Yeah,
and proprietary. I loved how she talked about that. Like everything that we got from out there, that's ours now. It's just the same level of thinking that we have now. Just amped up to further to the nth degree. Like if there are aliens here on Earth, I hope they're listening to all this stuff that people are saying. Like, oh, you think you're gonna come out here and just take what's ours? Okay, sure. Yeah.
Wham! No. I think that again they've set it up. They've set it up very great. And again, they have, because we've never explored that much of the rest of the world outside of the alien creature in the alien universe. We have so much fertile ground that they could further explore. And honestly, I'm just excited to meet Yutani, because we're only talking about Weyland. never talking about Utani. So at least Utani gets her moment in this, which I did appreciate.
And it's so just give us, tell us how much and we'll recompense. Call the lawyers. This is why we have lawyers. It's just so, just the way that they just,
look,
it's like any other, doesn't matter how much money they have, enough to cover it, and then some, and then some, and then some. It's crazy.
The alien is the monster. It is the force of nature. But the villain has always been corporate interests. Whether it's unknown Wayland Yutani sacrificing the Nostromo crew just to get an alien back from LV-426, or if it's an up-and-comer in the company, Burke, who wants to move ahead by sacrificing everybody else in order to be able to bring something back. It's always the corporate interest. It's always that, you said, the human pettiness that is the true villain of these stories, which is why I just love that we get so much kind of like little corporate background in the midst of our little alien adventure fest.
Well, but then we should skip away from people for a second and talk about the creatures.
Yes, our little monster menagerie.
I like that like they were saying in the podcast, that you can't keep, like, there, Alien 1 had one, Aliens had so many.
Yeah.
Alien 3 went back to another, just one. But then you've had like Alien Resurrection, tons of them in there. You got Alien versus Predator 1 and 2, aliens all over the place. We've seen just, and yes, they're scary. They are always scary. But you can't, it's still like, how do you keep presenting the same thing with the same level? You can't get the same level anymore, but it doesn't mean that because a lot of that stuff has now relied so much on CGI.
Right.
So going back to basics in here with a guy in a suit again, and the guy that talked about that's in the suit, listening to how all this thing is built and how it's on you and all the training you have to go into to be able to move like this thing.
Yeah, the movement is super important.
This is the scariest one since the first one, because it's a wild dog.
Yeah.
Like kind of like in 3, but it bred with a dog. It took literal dog, which I thought was interesting, that when the jump scare of when they see a Rottweiler, and I thought it's interesting that they chose a Rottweiler, since that was what it was with for Alien 3. Yeah. Also, you had the orange tabby cat on the ship that gets taken over by the eye with the multi eyes. But like this, there's an imposingness to this monster in this. Like, again, I'm trying not to use the word xenomorph, since it is kind of
I mean, go like, right ahead. But yes,
but like this alien monster, there's something very more like, we've never seen it just tear through people like it's doing in this. It's camouflaging itself. It's that when it's on that statue, I mean, come on. You look and it's not there. They cut back. That they do that kind of shot in things all the time, where they go, nothing there, and they go back and nothing. And then somebody's standing behind somebody.
And you're like,
and this,
does that look a little different than it did before?
It literally is like trying to blend in. It knows enough. Its face, I don't know. There's just something just very like it. The way it just goes through people.
Yeah,
and it's done sparingly. And then remembering that it's a guy in a suit. They talk about the scene where he jumps from the balcony, past the chandelier, and smashes into a table. They did that twice. They had to reset the whole thing. I mean, this is really, really cool. And
it looks like they did that. I mean, that's something that CGI, that effects, just, it doesn't always catch unless you spend a tremendous amount of money to get the blending and the contrast and all the things right to match. Yeah.
And then we have this new menagerie of creatures. Is that thing a plant, flora, or fauna? We don't know. The thing with the one eyeball that turns into multiple little eyes on the thing, that's like a little squid that is a parasite that gets inside you and wants to imitate you, and move you around like cordyceps, except with you in it. Like,
yeah,
kind of makes me think of a symbiote a little bit. That thing's horrifying. Those little blood suckers. And there's more we haven't seen. Plus, you do have eggs. We do have more eggs.
Well, that's it. It's the unknown. That's what made the alien scary. It was unknown. When you get too familiar, but it's the only one, then you're like, oh, just stand up and do this and shoot this and whatever. It's like, no, man. This is one crazy thing amongst a whole bunch of other crazy things you have to look out for. Again, it just builds that tension so nicely. And we get a new weapon, electricity. Never thought about electricity before. We always think fire. But now we get to see an actual weakness for the creature. Okay, that kind of makes sense. So it's like, yeah, you're using it sparingly, but you're still building on the little bit of lore that it has and keeping it unknown. Even when he's like, it senses fear, and they startle, and then you can see it move and fill up. It's like, oh, does it? So like it like really senses fear, like that's hunting thing. How many movies, and we've never really touched on anything like that? It's just the monster that comes after you. It's just, I think that's what it is. The sparingness with the menagerie, with these other creatures that are also unknown and frightening. And then you discover these new things, even about the creature that you think you already know. I think it constantly puts us as the audience on our toes.
And then you have Joe.
Yeah.
Played by, what we were saying, the guy from Andor. And from, he was on a great Netflix show that is escaping my brain right now. Okay. He was on an episode of Black Mirror, too. I love that this guy is just a medic and not some soldier, and that he's trying to live his life. He wants to be a doctor. He promised his dad. He's lost his sister, and her connection to him that won't let go. She's Wendy, he's John in a way, and how he sees things. And I have a feeling we're definitely setting up like she says to, Kirsch, that she's going to save him. What does she really mean by that? Because, and we might as well just say that speech right now, right? You used to be food.
Yeah.
Humanity.
So right on.
And that, you short lives, lived in fear, were in caves, and then somehow, you conquered nature, you built machines, you went to space. And then you decided, basically, you told yourselves, we're at the top of the food chain. We're not food anymore.
Well, that's what I love, his little thing. It's like, so you're no longer food, or at least that's what you told yourself.
Yeah.
Because there's this whole rest of the world that don't give a shit what you've decided.
Yep. Any new thing, small or big, right? A bug, a small bug with a disease, malaria.
Mm-hmm.
And there's even that they talk about, with climate change, right? It means that things like will move north, more diseases, meaning, and bugs that could carry things that could kill you, animals that you just go, oh, like we don't think about how fragile it all really still is. That we've told ourselves that because right now we're on the top of the heap, that there's nothing ever out there. We don't consider what's out there as being anything other than like, the movies always want to show like like movies like Mars Attacks, right? Or it's like the aliens just come and wipe us out, you know, like in some silly thing. But we really, we don't know nothing, but we're so like proud of ourselves, and
We all strut around this planet not thinking that something is going to attack us or eat us. None of us have that thought wandering around this whole planet because the planet is ours. Yeah, things can happen, but you don't really worry. You're not walking through the woods worried a freaking bear is going to attack you. You just aren't anymore. And this is that reminder that that world still exists, even if you don't believe it does.
Yeah. And when they knock on the door of the people that are having their, I don't know, their party,
yes,
you know, telling them, hey, man, like there's a spacecraft crashed into the place. We have to go, and them just being like, if we really have to go, Boy Cavalier will tell us, and all this, and it made me think of a scene from Mr. Robot about this kind of attitude and these kind of people that are just above everything and everyone else. They're part of the corporate structure, but not, you know, like they're the ultra rich. There's the trillionaires and billionaires and the company people, and then there's these ultra wealthy people that don't care about anybody and are in there having these weird extravagant balls and private. And it made me think of, and a little minor spoiler for Mr. Robot, there's a character named Irving played by Bobby Cannavale.
Oh yeah.
He pulls Christian Slater's Mr. Robot out and he points up to this party going on of rich people partying while the economic crash is happening. The world kind of, you know, in effect is ending in a way. And he's like, you see those people up there? Look at everything that's going on down here. And you can hear the music basically like it's mocking almost what's going on. And he's like, nothing stops these parties. All the things, all the horribleness that's going on right now, nothing stops these parties. Even the reason why I'm here. I'm supposed to go in there and clean up a dead person, somebody who died of an OD, some rich guy's mistress. And that doesn't stop the party. They still go on. And these people just oblivious of the danger, not knowing, because this kind of goes to what we're saying, is that there's always something that will kill you out of nowhere. And in this case, it's an alien that just, thankfully, I think most of those people, yeah, they suffered for all of about a few seconds in horror, but they mostly died quickly.
And they did get suckered into the obvious low-hanging fruit of when the guy's firing machine guns swung around to actually like cut through that one guy. It just went around him so he could die inside. You know, again, good not to use the obvious low-lying fruit there. And yes, Bobby Cannavale was so good in that series. So incredibly good. But that does bring up kind of that interesting point that we talk about with our boy genius, talking about, I just want someone smarter than me. I just want to go to the top of the mountain and have someone blow my mind. This is where I refute that, because I think he's too arrogant to accept that somebody else would be smarter than him. I think that is his effect of wanting to be wowed, but he goes up there and it's like a freaking alien that eats his head. Because in all of his arrogance and expectation, that was the one thing he wasn't actually thinking was going to happen. I feel
the fact that, you know, a lot of these guys think they're smarter.
Oh yeah,
and they're, you know, like they might have, you know, like he talks about her. You know, she's kind of like, well, what about me? You know, like I did like what we did, what me and my husband did, because we don't know how much Boy Cavalier had to do with the actual technology. We know a lot of these guys like Elon Musk, they didn't build anything. They just gave the money to somebody who does know how to do the thing, and then they take the credit for it.
Yeah.
So this guy, you know, he reads, he's read some books. It doesn't seem like he's had a childhood, right? He is like that Peter Pan though now, like trying to like, I'm going to be forever this.
Yeah.
And not acknowledging that he doesn't know that much about everything. He knows a little about like this, and he's been surrounded by other people that know things, and he's probably picked up on a lot. But it's like wisdom and knowledge, right? He might know facts, but he has no way to really, like, if somebody actually sat down and tried to really philosophize with him, he probably wouldn't know what they were talking about. And a lot of these guys, I think, are like that.
Yeah, he wouldn't know it, then he'd blow them off that they didn't really know what they were talking about, or they're just already using fancy words. And I need someone that's going to talk really on my level.
And I think, again, like the scorpion, right? He'd be the guy that would squish the scorpion. And in the end, he's going to be the one probably getting squished.
Yeah. Oh, no. I've seen some bad things for Boy Cavalier.
I mean, some of this is pretty laid out, but it's how you get to that point, like
right.
that the journey. And one of the great things is this journey is going to be amazing. And we also didn't talk really that the action in this is what action there is. The tense moments in this show are fantastic. That first, like, in that, because also just being set in a building that's collapsing.
Oh yeah.
Around you is amazing, and them jumping floors and everything. And that first, when the drip comes on his shoulder, and he's far from them, and they're all looking, and just that reveal of the thing coming down. I was just like, and that thing coming after you, and it was the same thing when they first introduced it, when it's like when Morrow is calmly getting into his little pod, and this thing just bashing through things like a caged animal trying to escape and kill or whatever. It is just like, this show gives you everything. I didn't think we would get this much in 2 episodes. I thought that this really would be a little bit more of a slow burn.
Oh yeah.
And instead, it is just, here's like a lot of really interesting things to think about, and then tension. And Wendy being this, like, she's awesome.
Yeah,
I talked to you a little bit about, I was like, I don't know. I mean, we'll see. What a fantastic character. And I love that she has Joe now to, like, really, like, I'm going to save this guy who's just a person in this whole thing. Doesn't understand all this stuff. No, none of them really understand what's going on.
No, there's a level of naivete, but a clarity of purpose. That's kind of a perfect little balance for a character that is also super strong and super intelligent. So you got to balance them out somehow from a dramatic standpoint. You can't have, the super capable hero, because what's going to challenge them? They made some really good choices with this. I do have to ask, is she magnetic though?
I think you're supposed to, like, I love what you're talking about.
Yeah.
He takes the thing and puts it on
just clink.
I was like, yeah, I think so. But the thing is like, they don't even know what she's capable of, because when she is able to overwrite the code.
Oh yeah.
When he's at the monitor like, one of the weirdest choices, I think, to me is whatever Ice Age that was that they were watching. I stopped watching Ice Age after the second movie, and this was a million years ago.
I think that was 3, but yeah.
But, like, they didn't even know she could do that. So what else can she do? They seemed really bothered by the fact that she could do a lot of things. And I don't think it was just that she was looking at her brother all the time.
Well, no, and I think that's one of the things that are grabbing our, boy genius or boy cavalier so much, is like, ooh, what exciting things do we do? Yes, let them loose. You watch them, right? Because, again, bad things can't really happen. But yeah, go out. Let's see what happens when they interact with the world. They're doing so much new and interesting things now. It's that
the data and Christmas morning.
Yeah, totally.
and I you know, like, again, I do think that she'll end up being the one, because I like, again, Pan and Wendy, and how she's coming at things. I think he's gonna, you know, start resenting. I think he kind of already does resent her. Like when he's kind of flip about things to her. Like just yeah, you know, like when the guy's telling him, you do realize that if we lose one of these, it's a devastating loss just to lose one of these people. And his cavalierness, no pun intended, I didn't mean to use that word,
No.
towards the whole thing. Again, his undoing is pretty is pretty laid out.
Look, I'm going to say I think his name is spot on. It is Boy Cavalier. Because
And
I think that is how
somebody
he
would
approaches
name
all.
themselves that, because you know that can't be his given name.
Yeah, I'm Ted Johansson.
Yeah, it's like oh, never mind. It's an old Mystery Science Theater thing of like the guy named Chunk Huge Large. You know, like
yeah. I am El Bad Gallo.
And he's eating the apple, the way, you know, like the representation of, I guess, the apple of knowledge. You know,
I guess to make him look like more of an asshole.
I guess they cut the part out though where he like just throws the apple onto the ground like nothing.
Yeah.
To represent kind of his, like, I don't know. There's a lot of things going on in the subtext of this show that even I'm like, I'm glad I listened to the podcast to get all the extra information. And I know we do this all the time where it's like, go listen to these people now. But it really did help understand some of this, because I'll admit that some of the stuff in these movies is, in the end, most of them are a bunch of people getting picked off. There are themes to, at least, you know, like the Ridley Scott stuff, especially like Prometheus, that I don't even understand fully. So I'm glad that they have these shows out for extra information.
Yeah, one of the things that people keep doing, however, and why do you do it? Keep your face away from giant eggs if you find them. They're always sticking there. I mean, honestly, the minute he walked up and broke the little laser barrier and it made the noise, I would have stepped back. To me, that's the warning sign. He's like, no, let's go in and stick our face into it.
I'll agree. That's that. Like, if I had a problem, and I had one brain glitch, but I got over it. But the thing with the eggs, I'm thinking to myself, no one.
Yeah.
If you are not familiar with what that is, one look at that and I'd be like,
and he already knows there's alien infestation. Yeah.
I would not be checking it out. Now the synths, the hybrids,
sure,
kind of don't really have any fear. Fine. The human in the room,
yeah.
No more of that looking into the thing. That trope needs to go away, because he's pretty savvy and pretty cool under pressure. He's like, call it in.
He's on it. Even when he gets up and he wakes up and he grabs the gun from the guy next to him and comes in, it's like he knows to get ready. Something's weird, you know, pull up the pistol. He's on it, and I totally appreciate that about his character.
And that was one of the things that I, you know, like, other than him looking at the egg, what I liked is when I think about Prometheus, and you have all these smart people making really just decisions that I don't believe they would make.
Right.
And in this, you have a bunch of people that are making decisions that I believe are way more believable across the board.
Oh yeah, when they're battling the eye thing and they're all freaking out and so on, and that one guy, he's just huddled over on top of it, so he's scared. But then you have the guy in the hallway where the plant starts going, and he's not scared, he's just fascinated, and that totally makes sense for that character. Yeah. I do have one criticism of the show, of the show, that I do have to say, because it was kind of disappointing, but I'm not sure if it was. I'm not sure what the intention is. And it took me 2 times of watching it in order to figure out what it is. The contrast is off on this. Everything is too bright. And it makes things look a little washed out, and it looks like they're shooting everything in a gym. There is something about if it was a little darker, they use a lot of smoke in there and it gives a lot of the atmosphere and hides backgrounds, but it reflects a lot of light. And if anybody who's ever played with any image processor, if you turn the brightness up and the contrast too low, you get this kind of like whitened, washed out look, which to me is present in too many of the creepy of the hallway bits. To me, if those were a little higher contraster and a little bit darker with just a little more accent light to catch out the highlights, you would get that creepy feeling that I think you get more in the films. And I don't know if it's just timing wise because of how the technology they shot. It's certainly not a production choice because everything is so brilliant. And I watched it on two different TVs, so I knew that it's not my TV or anything. But that's again, such a quibbling freaking complaint. But it is one of those where I think if the contrast was a little higher, it was a little darker, those atmospheres would hit a lot harder. And part of me is almost thinking that after watching it, there was some exec that went, "That's too dark. Can you brighten this up a little bit so people could see?" But again, that's my quibble complaint of this freaking show. So yeah.
Well, I this isn't a complaint, but it's more of a thing I noticed is that Hawley's transition into new scenes where he blends in and like he doesn't completely fade out,
right,
is like something that he has done since Legion and Legion and Fargo. I love and sometimes you think the scene is over and that no, he's still talking, but the background is changing, and I love that style so much, and it fits so well into the Alien franchise.
Yeah. The scene where all the kids move to their new body and the camera's constantly moving and dropping above, and then you see them there and then standing and back. Oh, yeah, to me that's like peak Hawley right there.
Yeah,
like
I don't know who the guy I can't remember the guy who does Hannibal. But it made me like that very like turning shots into works of art.
Mm-hmm.
Is something that I think both those guys have. Like some of the best stuff like this does so well is making these worlds and scenes like so artful. Just a shot or a transition is just
and I love the overlays of the background and the people and the image and the stuff, because there is again a certain dreamlike quality to this, and they focus a lot on, am I going to dream? Did you dream? What was your dream like? The guys are like, I had a dream last night that we had kids were pigs. And there's a lot of that. So the idea, and like you said, she's watching her brother while Boy Genius is watching her. So we get these overlays of her watching a screen and he's in the background behind her kind of coming in and out. Again, it's not traditional storytelling, but I really think that it works for the imagery and feel that they're trying to convey of what is all happening and overlaying at the same time. And I just think we're making fun choices, and it doesn't look at all standard. And I think that they're pulling out some great stuff because of those choices.
Speaking of dreamlike, I mean, I dreamt about this last night. There were creatures and things in my dreams last night after watching this only once. That doesn't happen to me very often. I mean, this would usually be something that randomly happens a year from now, where a xenomorph monster would pop up. No, this stuff was in my dreams last night. That's how much it already impacted me. And again, I've gone back to this, and I don't think I've done it enough or said it as good as I want to. But the relationship between Joe and Marcy, Wendy, when she confronts, tells him, that scene was so wonderfully done. Of like, usually it's the no, I won't accept this, and we spend a bunch of time with the character just not believing and blah blah blah, and the way they do it, the setting it up early with the screen saying the line from Ice Age, and then the guy slightly who can't keep his mouth shut.
Oh yeah, perfect ruiner of secrets.
And her having then to deal with it and how she deals with it. And he wants to fight her on it, but the look on her face, the earnestness of like, this is not, I've just met this person and she's talking to me. Like she says, you're talking to daddy before they even like reveal the thing. She's already telling him in some ways that something's up with me and you. And when he talks about, like, she says, Christmas morning, my big toe still doesn't look like my thumb, and the embrace, the quiet moment. And I was like, oh my gosh, she really, like, I love this. Like, there's not anything like this since to me. All right. Like, look, I know people that love aliens like Ripley and Newt, but it was a movie that moved really fast and they didn't really get to have, like, we know that like Newt is kind of like the substitute for Ripley's daughter that she will never see again.
Sure.
But it's fast, and it really, unless you really want to hold on to that, it's not as impactful as this, of like being able to actually hold each other, knowing that it's her, but not her, and he didn't lose her, and he's got some family left and she's got some family left. And so when the monster comes after him and they're in the egg room and he gets knocked off the side and you hear the Tool song start to play as she tells him, the other, tells Slightly, stay alive, and books it. And they just start playing this song. It's not enough. I need more. Nothing seems to satisfy. I don't want it. I just need it to breathe, to feel, to know I'm alive. And I just was like, yes! Dude, you don't know how hyped I was when that happened, when she's running off to be the hero to save her brother. I'm like, yes!
Hey man, that's effective storytelling. That kicks it up, brings you into gear, gets you excited and raving for more.
I'm like, I literally have the shirt.
Oh yeah, and look, I haven't heard Mob Rules, which wrapped up the first one. To me, that's back from heavy metal.
Yeah,
that's where I remember that song. So that kicks off. It brings up a whole section of memories for me. So no, their musical choices again are great. The storytelling or bits, you're right, they take time to tell that bit without wasting time with stupid arguments and those things. It was great. And I think she plays that wide-eyed hopefulness so well. I mean, again, the boy genius there was right when he's like, look at her face, you'd almost think that she's human, you can see all this emotion in it. She's like, I am human. And that's the thing. What is that makes us human? And is he going to feel that he owns her and she's going to surpass him? Yeah. I mean, again, all of this wonderful stuff. And yeah, they made some interesting choices, but I am so with them on the journey that they are bringing us on. I freaking can't wait till next week.
Yep, I'm just like, come on. It was like last night. I almost felt like he was like, oh, there's 2 more episodes that I almost was like, what? We get to watch them now. And when I found out I couldn't, and I realized, oh, they're just the thumbnails for when they're going to be released next. I was like, oh, man, I would have just stayed up all night watching the thing. And I don't like to binge, man. I really don't like to binge watch. But if this show was all out there,
I would have soaked it all up last night.
Tore it to pieces. like the monster, man. I would have just slashed through it in no time.
Yeah, and Mama Bear Puppet in chat, similar to the Blade Runner dilemma. Yes, exactly, very similar feels. And Bill, you are right. Never seen a character who was going to die more than the guy who answered that door at the party. Yeah, he was just like, hello, I'm here to be a victim. Looking all fancy.
I don't. And here's the thing, Bill's like, is this the best? Is this the best Alien thing since the first 2 films? And look, I like to. There's a time I think, and I think this is true, but like about a lot, is that I think a lot of nostalgia needs to be put to bed by people from my generation, at least, where you can appreciate things and call them classics and everything. But I always like to look forward.
Mm-hmm.
And Aliens is a classic action movie. I do like that movie a lot. Alien to me is like the it's the classic. It's where we get everything from. Like how people talk about Citizen Kane and Casablanca, and if we didn't have these movies, so much is influenced off of that, and because of those movies, we've gotten so many great things, better things.
Sure.
And to me, this my reaction right now, I didn't get to see Alien 1 in the theater. I was too young. So maybe I'd feel differently if I hadn't had to wait years to see it. But for me, thinking forward and not stagnating and thinking only of the past or how this compares to the past, how my reaction is after 2 episodes of this show, this is the best thing that they have ever done. And that's just from because of everything that came before it. We now get this. We have Noah Hawley, who creates all these wonderful worlds and expands on universes, especially one like this that needs it. It's really needs to be brought back. And what's strange is that Disney has been more successful to me in making fans happy with Predator and Alien lately than they have in Star Wars and Marvel. And they're making right moves with these productions for some reason that are making a lot more people happy. And I couldn't be happier because, again, I've never really been that big of an Alien fan. I've liked it just fine. And like I said, I think the first 2 are classics in their own right. One being an amazing space thriller and the other one being an amazing action film. And this is something else that combines all kinds of those things that came before. And that's why I think this is the best. And I can't wait to see what people will do after this.
Yeah.
Because now I'm more excited and I'm actually invested in this now.
I think you're hitting kind of the same patch of creatives of people that you had with when Marvel again was start picking itself up with the MCU and everything. Is you have people that have grown up with these things and have a love for them and now want to be able to make them themselves. I know that Hawley's like a huge Alien fan. And now, as an Alien fan, to go, what can I contribute in with this? It's less of a studio, here, let me drop this in your lap, what can you do? And someone like, oh man, I've been imagining things like this my whole life. So I think you're starting to get, was it Dan Trachtenberg who did Prey and is now doing the new Predator stuff? Same type of things. And it's like taking it back to those bare bones original ideas and creating new things as opposed to trying to top what came before it. I think there's a new way of looking at that. There's a new approach that people are feeling comfortable doing. And some of these have kind of, in a way, maybe it benefits the fact that they've kind of run them into the ground a little bit. So they're willing to give up control to go, hey, yeah, take this. What can you do with it? You're not going to spend a lot of money? Awesome. Go do a thing. Yeah, for a streaming service? Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, do that. That'd be great. I think there's a little bit more of a willingness to do that because the people that are coming up have so much that they can bring to it because that's what they grew up with.
And I mean, FX, the television division, it has been making great shows for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
They are very, very solid. They're the basic cable HBO to me.
Oh, yeah. No, I would totally agree with that. So I think that's going to wrap us up for this one. Any final thoughts there, Rob? Anything you want to tell people? We've had an amazing little chat group going on today.
Yeah, no, just that if you're interested in Baldur's Gate or Critical Role, we've been doing a Vox Machina campaign on the channel. We did a Mighty 9 campaign on the channel for Baldur's Gate a little while back. That's what I'm mostly focusing on is games right now, playing Assassin's Creed Shadows, playing Mass Effect, playing Astrobot, and really having fun still with this Vox Machina campaign where we're doing all the characters as best we can. I'm loving my Percy, man, my No Mercy Percy with the big ass gun, and that's what I'm doing over there for right now. Taking my time, trying to live in this world that we live in, and and enjoying a show like this that gets me to break out my Tool shirt.
Oh, that is awesome. And I want to be sure to thank Crom, Rena, Bill, Mama Bear, jumping into the chat there. Always nice having you. Thanks everybody who's watching the archives. I guess this is where I'm supposed to do the like and subscribe. That's supposed to be the beginning, right? Okay.
No.
You haven't done it yet.
Like
Not going to do it.
To his channel. Come over, like, and subscribe to my channel.
That's right, both ends. Otherwise, we will be back here next week talking a little bit more Alien Earth. So, as always, good night, take care, and watch out for those Nazis.
Yep.
Bye. Oh, so I'm trying to do this new thing. How do we close off? Oh, I see how we do. All right. Take care, everyone. We'll